on the Firebird last week, we got it pulled out and put one good coat of epoxy primer on the quarters and on up to the roof seam where I'd worked on it in the last video a couple of weeks ago. This car had a roof off of a donor car, so it fit really, really well. I'm real impressed with it. I mean, I've done very little body work other than just filling that seam. Everything lines up pretty nice. They can be pretty terrible on aftermarket body panels, so I was real happy to have a factory roof. But got the thing primed, and can't tell anymore that they were originally Camaro panels. My work here was not done, but the rough end work was pretty good, pretty close. Body panels line up decent. The last video you watched me prime the roof. I didn't record priming this part. Seen it once, you've seen it done 100 times. So the next step after this cures for a while, we'll scuff it and then shoot my normal high build primer on it and start working all the issues out. But come along real good. Owner's happy with it. We got a bunch of work to do with fitting body gaps and doors, and all this stuff up here is still a wreck. But the back half of the car, the important part, the critical part, is really looking pretty good. Pretty happy with it. So that's where we're at with this one. Now on the 68 Mustang, as you can see, we've got the doors, front sheet metal hung on it. I always assemble the cars when they first come in, check for all the body gaps, kind of see what we're dealing with. These doors, when I adjust them, I leave them just a little high, because when you put all the weight of the glass and stuff in there, it weighs them down, so the body lines kind of line up better after they got weight in them. If you adjust them straight up with no guts in them and then you put the glass in, it'll sag the doors real bad. But just getting everything gapped out, make sure everything fits okay. This cowl section right here that's masked off, it's gonna need a little reworking. Factory did a real bad job of welding that on there, so we're gonna have to do some finessing on it to get it to look right. But everything else fits pretty good. I'm waiting on a headlight bucket to come in to put the rest of the front of the car together. But we're putting a coat of primer on the tops of the doors, the front fenders, the hood. Just had a few repair spots. Had a little bit of a wave right on top of that fender. We wet sand them out so they get some reflectivity in them, and then fix any remaining issues. So this car's getting real close to being ready for paint. Probably tomorrow and Friday. This is the 22nd, I think. We'll pull it outside and we'll wet sand the first round on the body shell. I don't foresee any major issues. Everything seems to be lining up well. But that's where we're at with the Mustang. The guy's real excited about it. He started this project himself over 20 years ago. So it's been a long time. Sat in his garage, totally disassembled essentially for 16, 18 years, something like that. So he's pretty excited about it. All right, so on the 1976 F-150 project, I've just been going over, hitting a few real small spots that need a little bit more filler work, and interior and exterior. Little bitty spots like in the corners where I've done repairs and went through and scuffed everything down so I could put the last coat of primer on. Before I do that, I gotta seam seal it. Seam sealing all those joints. Anytime you do a good quality restoration or paint job, either one, you need to get all the old cracked, split, dry rotted seam sealer out. So I've done that every single joint in this truck. I mean, inside the cab, outside the cab, all the gaps. And with these floor pan patches, yeah, I know they're not butt welded, but this is just a truck I'm selling, so I don't really care. It's a quicker way to do it this way. And it's plenty structural. They're plug welded and they're definitely not going anywhere. But like I said, just pretty much almost ready for the last coat of primer, and then be some wet sanding going on after that. I'll probably paint the cab, this section right here first. Still got a bunch to do the bed. Bunch of metal work repairs, and right here, that big dark spot in the center of the bed, it's got a big oil can thing going on here. Hadn't messed with that yet. But it's gonna be a pretty nice truck. It's gonna be two-tone white. Top half is gonna be white, bottom half red. So it doesn't need a whole lot to be painted anyways. This is the big news for this week. Been trying to get this thing painted for a long time. Really turned out well. It's got 3 coats of clear on it. Came out real nice. It'll be slicker than snot when you get a cut and buff done on it. It's just straight off the gun. It's pretty good job. Super straight. Just got a tiny bit of orange peel and a little bit of dust. But super happy with it. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll do a cut and buff on it. Color sand, whatever you want to call it. In the meantime, I've got to do a little bit of cut and buffing on the dashboard and the side panels in here and across the back glass. Get that done and start assembling the dash, put the vintage air in it, the wiring for the LS, the ECM, all that stuff. Turned out real nice. Now I can start assembling this thing and get it over to the interior shop, get some custom, probably custom rear seat made, door panels, a few other things. And get it put back together and kick this bad boy out the door. Been here a lot longer than I would prefer one to be here, but the way it goes. As usual, I appreciate y'all watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I appreciate you. Got another update on the shop chicken. Her babies, both of them, growing pretty fast. One of them, the black one's got a gigantic fro. It's almost comical. Probably run off if I get close, but they spend the night in the shop.